Hey folks, welcome to another VR video. Today we're here at the MetaQuest booth at Adobe MAX. They're doing 4 demos here today on the MetaQuest Pro. And this is the first time they're showing this off to consumers at a trade show. So this is their first activation and they're pretty excited about it. There's going to be 4 different dev sessions as well at the front of the booth. And we're going to try to capture bits of that as we go throughout the day. One of the things that's really cool is they have the new tagline for the MetaQuest Pro as well on the booth itself. You can unlock new perspectives. So we're about to see a dev presentation from the developers behind ARKIO, which is an architecture application that allows you to collaborate within virtual reality. You can also take things like Unity scenes, so if you're a game developer, and you can collaborate on those Unity scenes as well within their application. So they're going to be doing a presentation here at the MetaQuest booth at Adobe MAX.
So, hello guys. Let me just put this headset down and I'm going to talk a little bit about ARKIO. So, with ARKIO we're creating a VR collaborative design tool, and what we're seeing right here is Leanne in VR.
Hi everyone, Leanne, glad to be here.
So, I'd like to talk a bit about ARKIO by showing a little video and talk you guys over it. So, ARKIO is a collaborative design tool where you can use your hands to model in 3D, like you do with physical models. You can edit the geometry using your hands, or you can add on top of the geometry new shapes and sizes. It works on different scales, so you can jump inside that design. You can use your hands to model and change the geometry, and you can even cut virtual portals into the real world. You can edit the shapes, make different sizes, and it will update the model accordingly. And you can also make virtual portals on top of your real world and try out new designs. So here we're making some changes to our living room, cutting away pieces of furniture, and really trying out different things. You can even completely immerse yourself in virtual worlds that will bring into the real world with the Quest Pro. And you can bring in models from Revit, Rhino, SketchUp, Lim 360, and Unity. These are bidirectional connections, so you can bring models into ARKIO, make changes to your design, and then export everything back to the latest geometry. So we are allowed to work on iPads, AR, working with Mac, Windows, iOS, and you can use your hands to model in 3D using the Quest 2 or the Quest Pro headset. You can jump in the model at any time, make edits to your design, and make changes to your LiDAR skins that you import to ARKIO as well. It's a smart volumetric modeling engine, so you can edit geometry and use your masses to keep updating your design in real time. And when you want to make changes, you just hover the geometry and you make the change. It exports back to Revit, and then you can start the cycle again, adding collaboration to your existing 3D view. Now, what I'm using right here is the 2D version of ARKIO. So this is the Windows version of ARKIO, and we're currently in Los Angeles at the conference hall, looking down. We're maybe going to go a bit into the area over here. I have a Revit model prepared that I can load into the scene. So let me just do that and just delete this current model and create and load a new Revit model that I prepared. So you can bring in models to the various plans of ARKIO, which like them on top of the table, and then we're able to interact with them. So right now I'm going to make some suggestions on top of this model. So let's just do that. Make some 3D state using my normal 3D input device, and you would see Leanne is still in the scene actually and in VR. She can see the same thing as we're doing here, and we're currently seeing her as the avatar from ARKIO, but you can also see later that we have an avatar from Meta if you use the Meta device. So I'm just going to add some balconies, make a suggestion of changing some of these balconies actually into a new model. And after I get those changes, I can make some more further edits down the road. So let me just skip this shape and create a new object on top. And this is all from the 2D version of ARKIO. But what I'm now going to do is jump inside of the VR version of ARKIO. And this actually is tethered right here to my PC. So you can see what I'm seeing and really experience what it's like to work with the MetaQuest Pro and start mixing reality with ARKIO. So, whoop, let me get that simple right. So here is Leanne. Hello, Leanne. So we're seeing everything around us here in AR. So I'm able to position that model, and it's really a virtual model that I can interact with right over here. And when I'm making suggestions or changes to that model, everyone would see that in real time. I'm going to clear out a bit of these models here so we can work there. So you can see on this TV screen actually what I'm seeing right there. I'm going to make a shape using the controller. Let me put a feeder. Can I see my hands? This is a bit better. So that using my hands, I can reach into geometry and pick shapes up and move things around and create geometry. I can make solid shapes, and when I push a shape inside of a solid, it's going to make void geometry. And all of the shapes are interactable by hand, so I can reach into them, move them around, pick them up by just simply reaching into them. If I add a couple of objects, like trees, you see them also appearing as 3D objects, and we're able to pick up those trees and work in them in real time as well. And at any time, I can switch from my AR kind of view, like looking at this model in the large scale, to VR by just switching the VR view on instead of the pass-through view. So this is possible using that pass-through feature of the MetaQuest Pro. You have color pass-through and you turn it on to be VR. And then in VR, I can actually jump to the street level here. And let me just rotate around. I'm able to edit that shape from a human field. So if I just pick up that tree, for example, and just throw it away, I'm going to put a tree over here. I can edit that geometry, just reaching into the shapes and moving them up and down. And I can also fill in sizes if I want. So I put it to maybe just 30 meters, a bit more extreme. This would update the shapes accordingly. So you can either in ARKIO work on the big scale or work on the small scale and just keep making edits to design. So this is not all, like you can achieve a lot more complex shapes with the app if you can make like some of these shapes and just array them accordingly. And you see how this would kind of make also more complex shapes that you can play with as well. So right now we have been mostly working in distance, but maybe we should guide around a bit, maybe explore this.
Let's go for some sightseeing, Ron.
Yes. So I saved a couple of 3D views already in the scene. So I have a set of views I can go to. If I click on the entrance, we're actually right here where we entered today at the entrance. And what we're seeing here is the combination of ARKIO geometry, some Google Street Maps imports, and a couple of models from SketchUp. And we can go to different scenes from here, or I can jump back up to the dot field, put on my AR view again, and then explore the design that I actually put over here. Let me just close this one over here. So this little tower that we made right over here, it really feels like a maquette. You should definitely try some of these features. I can touch the geometry using my controller, and it will update the shapes accordingly. So let me just move this shape a bit here. So when you see, and when I'm updating it, it's changing the parametric shapes of ARKIO accordingly, and I can even distort that shape using my wristbands to try out various shapes like this. And in the meantime, I see Leanne is adding an interior instead of here. We can work with up to 24 people in the same 3D space. Now, until so far, we've been working in ARKIO on a dog field, in AR and VR, but it gets most interesting when you're actually working in human field. So what we did over here is we have the conference hall, where we are right now. I can jump inside there. I have actually modeled the entire booth and the spaces around here. I'm going to just walk around a bit to show what this will be like. So you see, I have some, I will just move back to the loudspeaker. I have some objects modeled on top of the reality, and I can use, for example, the paint mode to start mixing and matching the reality on top of it. And let me just make maybe a suggestion on top of here. I'm going to just cut that one up. The end is right there also. Now I'm going to put a new suggestion on top of that pickup booth, which is straight structured a bit like this. And maybe I should add a couple of pieces of furniture around here for people to try to sit on. And let me see if I can model something around here. So when we're really working on top of reality, we're adding and changing and mixing reality. And when I'm going to add a couple of other objects, so I have here, for example, a Barcelona chair. This is an imported object from SketchUp. I can just place that here in my scene, and I can interact with it like I would do. I can also, let me just put that model right here. I also have a couple of other objects, like a cyber truck. Let me just put that over here. Maybe a bit more further. So what do you think, Leanne?
I think it looks pretty good, but I found it a bit dark here. Shall we open the skyline and let the LA sunshine get in?
Yes, so indeed it's a bit dark here, so let's see what we can do about that. I'm going to show that we have actually design options. So I'm going to become the host of this meeting. I can duplicate the scene. So now we have a new version of this model that we can quickly try out something. I'm going to cut an opening in the roof. Actually, let's just do it from there all the way to here. And let me just switch to VR mode, and you can see the sky here above us. So I can literally cut holes in our ceiling while we're standing and carve open the entrance to the earth. I'm going to move it forward, and then you can see this is actually the skyline of LA aligned with our physical environment in 3D. And if I want, I can just switch back and forth between those two design options that I just made. Let me see if I still see that. So that's one way to work. All of the objects that I'm making here, they can be imported, exported to other apps. And we also have support for example, LiDAR scans. So I have here a LiDAR scan of my living room back in the Netherlands. I can place that object right over here in my scene. So this is actually my living room. I just brought it into the conference over here. Let me just move that around a bit. So this is in scale, like positions, mixed, but virtual scan from the Netherlands, the real world that we're in. And if I go to the other convention center again, you see that's also mixing the reality on top of the booth here. Let me quickly check out the time. So I think this is pretty much showing what ARKIO is about. The app is available on the MetaQuest Pro. You can try it out here in booth. It's a free to download application. It works on several devices, so I can recommend everyone to give it a go and try it out and start mixing some of the realities yourself. Everything that you do in ARKIO can be exported back to other design applications. So you can bring it to native, Revit geometry, and continue some of the work there. And thank you very much for your attention, and come see us if you want to know more about ARKIO and try it out yourself.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we're back at the MetaQuest booth where they're demoing the MetaQuest Pro, and we're about to see another of the developer sessions where they're going to walk us through the application called ShapesXR.
Hey everyone, my name is Michael. I'm a product designer at ShapesXR, and I'm here to show off how to use ShapesXR to design a mixed reality application. So as you can see, I am in my little Meta booth, and what I wanted to do was design a mixed reality alarm clock application. So what I'm going to do is I'm just kind of go through. I'm going to talk a little bit about shapes, but I'm going to do so as I design the app. We have about 15, maybe 10 minutes, and yeah, let's do it. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use our little UI tool here to draw. You guys might be familiar, is a little rounded rectangle. You know, you can still use 2D kind of 3D elements in, you know, a traditional design, but it floats in 3D space. And you still use, text even though we're in 3D. Let's say, what time did I need to wake up for Adobe MAX today? I think that was 9 a.m. So I woke up at 9 in the morning today, and so the cool thing is it's a spatial application. So I think one of the fun things to do, let's say I'll put it over here on my desk. Let me sit down. So I know I'm gonna need to wake up. I'm gonna come in here. So my initial state, I'll always have my clock here. And the way Shapes works is you can stage it. So I'm going to duplicate it, set this one here. I'm going to say, all right, at 9 o'clock when it goes off, it's going to jump up into the air. And it's going to jump like this, duplicate like that. Boom! Wow. Maybe it's going to scale up a little bit on this next one here. Woo! So it's 9 o'clock. And let's get a nice little, let's maybe duplicate this guy here. Get a little color. It's going to alert me it is time to go. It is 9 o'clock. Maybe for our starting state, it's just 8:15. All at once, but I usually go back and try to look like I'm after the fact. Yeah, so we start out, it's 8:51, we go, boom, wake up, 9 o'clock. So now, we're gonna have a couple of options pop out. Let's see, we're gonna have a little snooze option and a dismiss. So Shapes here we have kind of like pre-built UI icons. We have a little color picker tool where we can change the color. And the whole point of Shapes is that it's a rapid prototyping tool. The whole that you can do this spatially, that you can work in the tool. But again, don't want to overcomplicate things too much. Just do a little bum and a little snooze. Now, you might be thinking, what's the point of having this be spatial? Well, here's where things are gonna get fun. I don't know about you, but when I snooze, I think it's a little too easy. a snooze function that when I try it jumps away from me. So, you know, I go for the snooze, it goes away. Ha! See, this is where we can start getting fun with our spatial application. A snooze, we can even get a little more funky with it, you know. We can say, hey, maybe a little ball appears and we can have a snooze button that maybe it's not a button. Maybe my snooze function is instead a little hoop. So we'll turn on my gizmo, we'll create a little basketball hoop real quick. So let's do that. Let's create a basketball hoop. Put it here, let's make a backboard. I'm gonna pin it here, make a little backboard, give it a slightly different color. And there it's starting to come together. I'm going to group them together, add my backboard. And again, the whole point of this design is that like I'm able to really quickly explore these different concepts just while in mixed reality here, right? Like, why have an alarm clock when I can have a game that is my alarm? You know, how many points do I need to score before it actually turns off? And let's turn it, let's give it a nice color here. So so I hit the snooze option and this stuff appears. I put this on the wrong stage, but Shapes has a cool function where I pick up my objects, I go here, I go to the right stage, I drop them back. And what's cool is I can put them right back where I picked them up from. We'll go back here to you. Pick you up, pick this guy up here, boom. Nice. Toss you on the garbage. So let's say we click. So essentially once we hit snooze, and one thing I like to do is is we have a lot of these different hands. So we can leave the hands behind sort of as a, indicating what's going on in the design. So we'll go here, we'll go back to back one. So we go ba-da-ba-ba-ba, alarm goes off, it's 9 o'clock, my options come up, I hit snooze, and my basketball mini game comes up. And now it's time for duplicate. And we're gonna go ahead and, I'm a lefty, so we're gonna shoot with the left hand here. Let's adjust that a little bit. And what's nice about, one something that's really important in mixed reality, virtual reality, is scale of everything. And that's something Shapes lets you dial in. It's something you can't really get on a 2D monitor. Ooh, we're getting 4 minutes here, folks. So let's get this quick. So, I think, you know, it's early morning. I don't know how many points. Let's say it's a moving hoop. So let's say I'm gonna pick this up. You pick it up, and as soon as I've picked up my basketball, pick it up, little bum bum bum, picked up my basketball. And I think once I've picked up the basketball, I want to indicate that the hoop is now activated. And let's maybe write snooze hoop. Give instructions to the user. Hit to snooze. Yeah, that's about right. Just that text right there. And now I have instructions for my user. So, let's recap. 8:59. Oh no, alarm goes off. Woo, woo, woo. I say, nah, I'm gonna hit snooze. Okay, basketball shows up. I pick up my basketball. All right, I'm gonna hit a basket. Let's use the draw tool to give a little effect of what happens when I snooze. You can even use a different type of brush right here to show off sort of this woo. So this will happen when I hit the basket, and it'll fall through. We'll have this expand out as the basket hits through. And I'm doing this all using the stages system. So let's take a look at the result of that. So I hit the snooze, ball comes up, I pick it up, I toss it in the basket, and I've snoozed. And I can go right back to sleep, safe and secure in the knowledge that I'm gonna be late to Adobe MAX. But yeah, so that's just a basic example of how Shapes works, and now I can kind of, go in and start, cleaning up my prototype a bit. I can set up my viewpoint, take some screenshots. Let's see, maybe set up a little viewpoint. Oh, interesting. Yeah, so let's clean this guy up a little bit now that we've gotten the basic idea. So we've set up, got our 159. One thing I like to do is when we have a connection with a surface, I like to create what I call a little contact shadow. So we'll take this guy, we'll use the multiply brush, we'll give it a black material, we'll set the alpha a bit lower, give it something more like this. Because one thing about the human brain, and you'll notice this if you ever worked on special effects, is we use shadows as how we associate contact with the ground. So if we just add this little shadow here, have it disappear. Perfect. These little details add a lot, and when we're really important. So things like this we learn from the world of special effects. And so we'll go here, have the shadow get a little smaller, and it'll basically disappear. Block is here. Maybe we'll add a little effect here that allows the have these be a little smaller as they come out. Let's review. Let's just final review. So we have our alarm clock sitting the test here. 9 o'clock hits. Woo, 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 time to get up. I'm like, no, it is not time to get up. It is time to snooze. All right, basketball comes in. I pick it up. I hit a basket. Woo! And I am safe to back to sleep. But yeah, so that is a prototype in 15 minutes using Shapes. Thank you.
So we're still in the MetaQuest booth, but as you can see, the wait time from this point is around 60 minutes. And that's to try the MetaQuest Pro. As you can see, I happen to have caught it at the right time. As it seems, there's not a line right now. So we're gonna get to try some demos.
So if you take a look at your controllers here, place myself. The left one over here has the tool button,
Yes.
which is going to be on
Yep.
the X or the Y
Yep.
down there. Go ahead and hit that. It's going to populate your tunes for you.
Yep.
By selecting any of those tools, you're going to be able to paste, kind of like play-like pasting.
Okay.
And you can go ahead and it should be able to slide all the way through. So you're going to use your, there you go.
Oh,
Perfect.
donut.
And using your trigger finger, you're going to go ahead and hit that trigger finger to go ahead and, there it is. And if you want to make it smaller, you can grab both of your controllers. You are a pro at this. I thought you said this was the first time.
All right, so let's do this little guy, and then this little guy, and let's do,
Krispy Kreme here.
no, their ears, or
Mickey Mouse, maybe.
sort of like that, yeah. There's that, and then let's change color. That is the palette. That's which one's the palette? This one. There we go. Okay, that didn't work. Let me undo that. Forget which one is undo. I think it's that way. No, this one. No, but that works. That's good. I'll just replace it. All right. Let's do this one, and again, we're going to go to our little palette. Change that to like a little bit lighter. This is cool. All right. That's and whoops, not the palette, the tool. Okay, let's do these little guys. Turn it a little bit.
How much practice have you had on this?
Not that much, honestly.
What makes you, you seem very comfortable. What practice do you think assisted you with getting comfortable with the Adobe MAX?
I've used Oculus Medium. I have used this once prior, but I feel like using Medium, which was the prior version of this, I think, before Adobe bought it, and using Tilt Brush also helps a lot with that. Now I have to figure out, I know there's a way to, I think I need a brush tool. There, that's clay. Erase, warp. So the one thing that I really like versus the Quest 2 is the text is so much sharper to read in this headset, so that makes a big difference. Let's see, what color do I want to do? Let's do like maybe a red. Whoops, too much. And I don't remember how to undo. Oh, there it is. Okay, so now I need to rescale. Away. Down, 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 down. There we go, that's better. There we go. Okay, and then scale down a little bit more. Do a little orange on the teeth. Oops, too far in. A little closer. It's too little. Now let's do it. There. A little bit more. So we've got kind of this little floaty head guy. Now we'll do, I think there's a way to do paint dropper, that color. Let's do a little cylinder. I think I can do that. Hold on. That cylinder. How is it not? Okay, that's interesting. Oh, it's on paint, that's why. Shape, play tool, play tool. There we go. Alright, now, and I want to do that. Put the top here. There we go. So there's a little neck. And then let's do it this way. kind of rectangle. Kind of like these. Little arm. Another little arm.
How's it going in there?
This is fun.
Good.
What do you think, Michelle?
Very friendly.
So what I want to do is I want to take this. Whoops. I need to paint, not. I forget how to. Oh, I just undo. Let's take him, put him here. Then I need to go to paint to do this. I want to take eyedropper, grab that color, and I should be able. I don't know how to do that, but I think this is a cool little demo. What do you think, Michelle?
It's very cute.
So we could 3D print that and make it, right?
Yeah.
So let's do a little backpack really quickly, and then we will let them move on to their next demo. Let's do. Oh, I need to go back to the clay tool. That's the thing I keep forgetting to do.
Which one?
I keep forgetting to go to clay because my brain doesn't.
What tools were you previously using?
Oh, I was using paint.
Oh,
But,
okay.
but yeah, I just forgot to go back to clay after I was
I
done.
like the clay one.
Now we're gonna just do a little. It's all right. It's a backpack. Anyway,
That looks
There he is.
amazing.
little guy.
Is it more of a squirrel looking type?
I think so. Yeah.
Tail real quick.
Yeah,
Let's give it a tail.
I agree.
All right. Let's do squiggly tail. I think that's close enough. There we go. There he is in all of his rotating glory. And it's all brought to the power of the Quest Pro here. I think
Looks
that's
amazing.
that's our sort of final product.
Yeah, looks good.
Cool.
I was like,
Awesome. All right. So I'm just going to walk you guys through Gravity Sketch. For those of you that may or may not know of the tool, it might be a refresher. But it's a 3D design tool, and we tried to rethink the way that we design in 3D. You have this gaming controller essentially, and you have a few controls here, and we tried to map a UX that makes sense for the user as opposed to, what works for a keyboard. So on the right hand, you have the basic controls. You can pull the trigger here, and you can start sketching. And on the grip button here, you can grab anything and manipulate it in space. And then of course you can change colors and continue that flow. I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about the workflow and why this particular headset's quite interesting for us as a company. So I'll talk a little bit more about the capabilities of Gravity Sketch, and hopefully through a demo. So every piece of content in Gravity Sketch is editable. So you can grab the content here, and you'll see that you have a contextual button here on the left hand, on the blue button. And this is like editing points in Adobe Illustrator. So you can grab things and move them around. You can duplicate points. You can grab and delete points, and you can essentially craft the stroke in any way that you wish. So let's just get rid of some stuff here, and I'm going to pull up a scenario. We're seeing a lot of success in the automotive industry. So I'll open up a layer here that has wheels and a few components that you might find in a vehicle. So let's just get it to scale. And I think my environment. Give me 1 second. I'll just locate everything in my space. All right, so we have this set of wheels and kind of like the roll cage, the bucket for the seat. This is imported from a classical CAD package. And a designer can just quickly sketch over this, where they would have used Photoshop to sketch. They can actually do it directly immersively now. So we turn on mirror here, and you can just sketch as if you were sketching on a piece of paper, but now you have these infinite viewpoints that you can work from. And so in a short period of time, in a very gestural way, you're starting to think of this 3D space just like you would a napkin sketch, as opposed to a more complex operating system that you have to navigate through with keyboard and mouse. And so you're able to get this kind of gestural nature of the strokes that you would get on paper, but in this 3D environment. From this point, you can actually get more refined if you wish. You can also explore things like within the space. So let's say you're doing you can start to kind of get interested in the ergonomics and what is it like to operate some of these things, the touch display here in your vehicle, or some of the sight lines if you're looking across the vehicle. It is all very rough. This is really hard to put into the actual workflow. So what you want to do now is take it a step further and actually refine. And with this thing said, we're going to jump over to another tool here, and this is like your pen tool in Illustrator. I'll also jump to another layer, and I'll change my color here. And now I can lay down individual vertices. I'll lock this layer above. I can even change the opacity, so it's a little bit transparent, almost like a sketch over if I was working in Photoshop. And so now I can just drop individual vertices and have much more clean line work. Again, this is similar to the pen tool that you use in Illustrator. And what's great about being in the virtual environment is that you can respect all of the hard points of a vehicle and see them at scale, or at any scale for that matter. So I know exactly, how close the line work is to the roll cage, and I know if that's going to work, or if I'm going to have some issues with the engineering team. Most vehicle designers are actually trying to embrace this kind of fluidity and gestural nature of the sketch all the way through to the vehicle, and that's why some of our vehicles today look so sculpted. It's because they've put a lot of time and care into that part of the process. And we're going to get to some of the more interesting things from this headset in one moment here, but I'm just going to kind of try to craft out a little bit more of the vehicle here and show you how some of the surfacing works as well, because you can move into actual modeling past the sketch phase at pretty much any given point in the workflow. So here I've just duplicated a line, and we're going to just do a form study. I only have 15 minutes with you all today, so I'm not going to be able to go too deep into this, but with a quick form study, I'm able to just duplicate line work and start to lay down maybe like a basic surface. And so from this stage, I've already captured some of the key points that I want to reference for this design, and I can start hiding some of the other non-usable geometry. After I set the theme, I know more or less that I'm respecting the engineering points. I can come over here to my layers and I'll suppress the wheel layer here, just turn it transparent, and our sketch layer, I'll totally get rid of that. And I can create another layer here. You can just drag your layer up to the top, and I'm going to come and make a surface. And so for the surface, we'll do a slightly lighter color, maybe something around here, and we're going to select a material, a reflective material. And in surface mode, you can actually just connect the surface across two curves. So with these two curves, I drop the surface really quickly. It's almost like an auto fill button, and I quickly have like pretty much the bulk surfaces for this vehicle. So I can come in and connect things up. And with this particular modeling technique, it's subdivision modeling, so I can just grab an edge and continue to manipulate and build. But if I want to actually look at this vehicle in context now, I can take off the headset, and now I'm in a virtual space, and now I can assess this in the real world. So if I just grab the controller here, I can return to a full scale view, and now I'm looking at the vehicle at full scale, and I can edit at full scale too, right? So now I'm actually tweaking this line work as if I was actually in the design studio working with clay. But the power of this, maybe to bring it closer to home, is really where you start to look at this chair, for example. So I'll turn off some of my layers and the work that I've been working on here. And now, for example, if I look at this chair, I can work quickly with this. So I'll come over here and grab another color. And it's pretty accurate, to be honest, working in the Oculus headset, to just trace. I'm going to create another layer as well. I'll drag this one up. It's pretty accurate if I just want to trace. Just want to trace the chair. And so you can bring something from the virtual or the physical environment into the virtual environment. So after I do a bit of this, I've kind of, and I feel relatively confident maybe here with what I'm working with. I can go back into the virtual environment, and now I have this sketch in here that I can work with, and I'll just remove the lock. And then, of course, I can go back to that workflow and edit the points. And maybe I want to add, you know, an armrest to this chair, for example. Come in here, or to my sketching environment. Nope, expecting the physical, real-world environment that I was working in. So, thinking from a sketch perspective, what does this look like with armrest? And maybe it has like a little headrest here for gaming. And again, I'm just being gestural. This is not to, you don't have to be precious with 3D when you're working in this environment. This is similar to like working on paper. And maybe instead of wheels, I'm going to have little feet. And then I can jump back into the virtual and see what this chair looks like, you know, now in context. And so, potentially, I can now iterate. This is all before dedicating a lot of time and energy to this. I can just grab this geometry, and I think actually, from a ergonomic perspective, it makes much more sense for the armrest to be a little bit further out. I'll maybe change my color to determine where some of the changes need to be. And, you know, maybe I want a little ottoman here, so I'm going to put my feet. And so here you're able to like bring this kind of interplay between the digital and the physical environment. And honestly, it's something that we haven't been able to do as designers for a very long time. I think a lot about the Pablo Picasso light drawings from 1949, where he was trying to work in this way, but see things in kind of capability now. So I think my time is relatively up, so I'll show you one last image from a designer that we work quite closely with, actually here in LA, and he works on all types of vehicles, both big and small, and he's been using this pass-through mode. I'll just bring my layers a bit closer to really kind of lock in how a rider might position themselves on a motorcycle. So if I bring this up to scale, and it's now locked in place, it's pretty heavy, so the headset might glitch a little bit. But now if I go into the real world here, I can position myself directly over the motorcycle, and there might be elements that I want to move, and you can start having like a design review here in this environment. Let me just add another layer. And so if you want to communicate with your team, you could say something like this needs to be pushed out. You know, maybe we're going to move this by 40 mil. But you get a sense for like the proportion, the volume, the weight of the vehicle, and this is all at sketch phase. This is before dedicating, you know, man hours into actually sculpting this out of clay, or going into like a factory environment and trying to generate, you know, a rough model of what this may look like. But yeah, thank you guys. Grab your sketches here on demo, so feel free to come over and have a go. The Meta staff is great. They know how to work their software pretty well, so they can kind of show you almost everything I've just shown you today. And yeah, feel free to play around and explore. Thanks for your time.
So it was a pretty packed day at the Adobe MAX event, and I did spend most of the day actually at the MetaQuest booth. It was pretty cool that they had the different developer sessions there. I was really impressed with how ARKIO, toward the end of their presentation, as an example, took the pillars and the different parts of the booth and actually started overlaying with their own new designs to show how you could actually, using that AR pass-through mode with the Quest Pro, see in the real world that kind of blend of the virtual world. And that's something that really you could do with the Quest 2, but the Quest 2 was the smeared black and white pass-through, whereas again, you've got kind of a more color balanced and almost full color, not necessarily realistic pass-through with the Quest Pro. I love the fact that the developer sessions also were able to show that pass-through mode. I can't convey that in words, how that works. So seeing that on the screens, the way that the Meta staff was casting it, really was a well done presentation. I do apologize for some of the audio and video glitches. That was all real time in the booth. And it's a hard thing to do a production within a show floor at an expo to begin with. I thought they did a pretty stellar job. Up next after ARKIO was the ShapesXR demo. I thought that one with the alarm clock thing was pretty cool, how they really showed what you can do when you build an augmented reality alarm clock versus just a simple app where you're hitting a button. That basketball hoop thing was a pretty fun thing to add there, so that it gives it a more interactive snooze button as opposed to just clicking it with your hand. Then I got to try Adobe Substance 3D Modeler on the Quest Pro. Now, I've previously presented that particular application on Quest 2 just a little over a week ago at this point by the time this video comes out. And this was the first time I've used the Quest Pro with a tethered connection to a PC. They did use an official Oculus Link cable for tethering to a PC, and it was the same application that I used before. It's the same beta, actually, as I used in the previous video. But it felt a little bit smoother than the Quest 2. I don't know why that is. I think the Quest 2 at this point would run at up to 120 Hertz, whereas the Quest Pro was running at either 72 or 90 Hertz, but it felt a bit snappier. It felt a bit smoother using the Quest Pro. Quest Pro controllers, of course, also work very well, but I didn't really notice a difference between the Quest Pro controllers and the Quest 2 controllers with that particular application. So what, again, was the wow factor for me with that application was how smooth that tethered connection worked with the PC. It felt almost like an actual tethered by DisplayPort or HDMI headset. Now, again, single application use case, I haven't tried other things like fast-moving games or other applications, but I was impressed with the tethered connection with the Adobe Substance 3D Modeler. And a third developer demo with the folks from Gravity Sketch, I liked how he first started modeling that rough sketch of a car and then saw the chair sitting there and switched over to pass-through mode and actually traced the chair. But the thing that was most impressive is when he sat down in the chair and then adjusted the armrests to be more ergonomic. And it really showed the practical nature of, even though it's kind of a rough sketch, what you can do when you've got that almost real-to-life pass-through going on with a sketching application like that. For prototyping, I think it would be a fantastic use case for the Quest Pro in that particular type of application. It worked really, really well. And then, of course, he also pulled in a kind of scale model of a motorcycle and was almost riding it at the end there. That was pretty fun as well. Overall, I thought that the MetaQuest activation at Adobe MAX was really well done. This was the first time I've gone to a trade show and used a Quest device, or really any VR device, where as a content creator, video content like this, I was actually creating content using Adobe Substance 3D Modeler and seeing other people create very cool things and prototyping and building out with their applications their own creative vision. All of Adobe MAX was about creativity, and I was very inspired by some of the cool stuff that we got to see throughout the day at Adobe MAX. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed, even though there were some rough spots, the presentations that the developers gave and my own demo with Adobe Substance 3D Modeler. This was a challenging video to make, but I feel like it turned out pretty well. I do want to thank my wife for helping be the camera person and the behind the scenes person to coordinate all of this. And I thank you for watching. Until next time, get out there and enjoy some VR for yourself. And I'll be back soon with more content. Bye-bye now.